I want to talk briefly before we break to a little music about our guest today. Former Los Angeles District Attorney Ira Reiner once called today's guest the single largest forger of artwork in the United States. Venice Gallery owner Tom Binder once said of today's guest, he was just a brilliant mind that went astray, a Frankenstein. And Larry Steinem of the Carol Lawrence Gallery once told the BBC, there's probably one of his paintings in every major museum in the world. In the studio today, Tony Tetreault, perhaps one of the world's greatest living art forgers. You've appeared on, as I mentioned, BBC, Nova did a special on you, PBS I think you mentioned, LA Times, a lot of people wrote about you and your career, but this was sort of once you were arrested. Prior to getting arrested, how many paintings would you say you created and ultimately sold during that period of time when you were the most prolific?
Well, that includes etchings, lithographs, gouaches, watercolors, oils, hundreds, if not a couple thousand.
Why didn't you just create your own artwork? Why didn't you become an artist of your own renown instead of copying others? Why not use your skills to become sort of somebody famous for his original artwork?
I never developed a style of my own, and I actually enjoyed the aging and the cracking, to make them look real.
Right.
It was the fun part.
So who came to your door?
25 men with DA jackets on,
And
the local police. My house was overrun.
This has to be an intimidating scene as far as I'm concerned. If I have 25 people
Guns?
with guns,
Oh yeah, I've never fired a weapon in my life.
and they're coming in and they're breaking into your,
And they did it illegally.
well, let's not go there. But they confiscated all your paintings? Did you have paintings in the house?
Oh, yeah, my first floor was Dali, second floor was Moreau, and third floor was Picasso.
Wow.
Sitting down with a crackhead that sold crack in South Central Los Angeles on a one-on-one for hours.
Right.
I could never picture myself doing that. What do we have in common? How could we talk for hours? That was interesting to me, and I liked him.
Yeah.
I mean, how could I like a crackhead who sold crack in South Central? I mean, how could I like him? How could I sit and talk to him for hours? But I did like him, and genuinely liked him, and I think he liked me.
You know, it's funny because we were down here at Laguna a couple years back and we had breakfast, and I didn't really quite believe sometimes all of the stories you shared with me, right?
You never believe a word I say.
Well, so we got a napkin at the restaurant, and I had you kind of draw a Marc Chagall signature, and I just sort of stuck it in my pocket. And then there was a gallery downtown that had a Marc Chagall, and we went down, you and I together, and I took that napkin out and I placed it right next to the signature of the Chagall, and it was perfect. I mean, it was literally perfect. You did it like it was a natural signature.
Because it was. Chagall was more difficult than others. And art dealers who really don't know that much about art would know Chagall's signature. It was different. But it changed throughout the years. He was straight up and down when he was younger, and it slanted as he got older. And I had photographs of every era of his signature.
And then there's such a thing as an authenticator's stamp, these experts in a particular artist who sort of evaluate a painting, and then they determine that it's a legitimate Chagall, and they'll put their stamp or signature on the back of that painting. But you actually went to the extent of forging that as well.
Yeah. I had a whole room full.
Of what?
Certificates of authenticity and stamps and blind stamps.
Right.
They never found.
Right.
They ripped my house apart. They ripped my carpets up, cut open my mattresses,
Really?
ripped off my wallpaper, but they never found my room. And I sat there for 6 hours holding my breath.
I actually have one or two of his paintings of my own, of Tony Tetreault's paintings, which I believe some art dealer locally said to me the other day, he believes that your paintings one day will be worth a lot more than they're currently worth, because you're going to become sort of this world-renowned art forger in history.
I'm curious whether you've been big full circle. Has law enforcement ever asked you to be involved in detecting forgeries?
I would.
But that hasn't been part of your experience
No.
yet?
But I have a feeling they're going to contact me. I have been too liberal in my talking. You know, we haven't even mentioned that I have been exonerated, have we? I've been exonerated, and that's, people are going to find that hard to believe, but I don't have a record anymore. I went to court, and the judge looked at my record, and he stamped it in less than 30 seconds, and I'm no longer a felon. I'm completely clean.
Very nice.
He said he doesn't have a parking ticket. Has anybody got a problem with him? Nobody said anything. He went, snap.
A denizen of the community, Tony Tetreault,
And Lily White.
the world's greatest living art forger.